It was supposed to be a normal afternoon. A young black girl, no older than 12, sat on the steps of a small-town police station, nervously waiting for her mother to arrive. When an officer spotted her, instead of offering kindness, he chuckled at her claim that her mom was in the U.S. Special Forces. To him, it was laughable. How could the daughter of a black, single mom possibly belong to a family tied to something so elite, so powerful? He thought she was making it up. But when the girl's mother finally walked onto the scene, everything changed, and the laughter stopped instantly. The story begins in a quiet suburban town, where appearances meant everything. The town was neat, orderly, and mostly affluent, with a population that often carried unspoken biases. Few families of color lived there, and those who did often felt like outsiders. 12-year-old Kayla was one of those outsiders. She was smart, observant, and endlessly proud of her mother. Though her classmates teased her for not fitting in, Kayla carried a secret pride. Her mom, Denise, wasn't just any mother. She was serving her country in ways no one around them could imagine. On this particular afternoon, Kayla had been waiting for her mother outside the police station. Denise had told her to wait there while she finished some official paperwork. But minutes turned into nearly an hour, and Kayla, with her backpack slung over her shoulder, began attracting attention. A police officer passing by stopped to ask why she was sitting there alone. When Kayla confidently explained that her mother was in the Special Forces, he smirked. To him, it was simply impossible. His worldview couldn't reconcile the idea that a black woman, a single mother at that, could hold such a prestigious, dangerous, and heroic role. Instead of believing her, he mocked her, asking if she was sure her mother wasn't just a janitor or a clerk. Each word stung Kayla, but she sat quietly, determined not to give him the satisfaction of seeing her cry. Little did that officer know, the woman he was dismissing in his mind had lived through battlefield chaos, saved countless lives, and carried scars no one could see. And in just a few minutes, his smug disbelief would shatter in front of the entire station. Kayla's silence only made the officer push further. He asked why she wasn't at home, why she didn't have a father to pick her up, and why she thought pretending her mother was in the military made her story more believable. Kayla's heart sank. She had grown used to unfair treatment at school, where teachers underestimated her and classmates whispered behind her back. But something about an adult, especially someone wearing a badge, belittling her felt heavier, crueler. The officer leaned against his patrol car, crossing his arms with a condescending grin. He laughed at the idea of a black woman being trained in combat, parachuting from planes, or carrying out missions overseas. His words weren't just about disbelief. They were soaked in prejudice. Inside the station, other officers passed by, glancing at the scene, some chuckling under their breath, others ignoring it entirely. It was easier to look away than confront the injustice happening right outside their door. Kayla clutched her backpack tighter. She remembered her mother's words. "Never let their doubts define you, just wait. The truth always reveals itself." So she sat, silent but unbroken, even as humiliation burned inside her. Meanwhile, Denise was inside finishing her paperwork with the police chief. She had been working with a task force that required her expertise. Her military record was spotless, filled with commendations most soldiers could only dream of. Yet outside, her daughter was enduring mockery simply because others couldn't imagine a woman like her achieving so much. The minutes dragged. The laughter grew. The officer finally said he'd wait around just to see this so-called Special Forces mom she kept talking about, convinced that when Denise appeared, she would be nothing more than what his prejudice allowed him to see. But then the door opened. Boots struck the pavement with confidence. The air shifted, and the officer's smirk began to fade. Denise stepped into view, dressed not in camouflage or combat gear, but in simple, civilian clothes. Yet there was no mistaking her presence. She carried herself with a quiet power, the kind of strength forged through years of service and sacrifice. Kayla's face lit up the moment she saw her. Relief washed over her like sunlight breaking through a storm. But the officer's expression told another story. His laughter halted. His confidence cracked. As Denise approached, the police chief himself walked out alongside her, shaking her hand with respect. He thanked her for her service, addressing her rank clearly and publicly. His tone was the opposite of the mocking words the officer had hurled just moments earlier. The officer's face turned pale. He tried to mask his shock, standing straighter, suddenly unsure of what to say. But the truth was written all over the chief's words and Denise's composed demeanor. She glanced at her daughter first, offering a reassuring smile that told Kayla she had done nothing wrong. Then she shifted her gaze to the officer. There was no anger in her eyes, only the piercing steadiness of someone who had stared down enemies on foreign soil and survived. The weight of reality crashed down on him, his prejudice, his mocking laughter, his arrogance. It had all been based on assumptions he never dared question. And now, standing before a decorated Special Forces operative, he was exposed for what he truly was, a man blinded by bias. For once, silence hung heavy, not Kayla's silence of endurance, but his silence of shame. The station grew quiet as the truth spread among the officers. Some avoided eye contact, others whispered, but no one dared laugh anymore. The same girl they had mocked for boasting about her mother's status had been telling nothing but the truth. Kayla walked proudly beside her mother, her chin held higher than ever. The officer who had belittled her remained frozen, wrestling with the embarrassment of being proven so wrong in front of his peers. But this wasn't just about humiliation. It was about the painful reality of prejudice that lingered in places of authority. Denise didn't need to shout or retaliate. Her very existence, her accomplishments, and the chief's words were enough to dismantle the false narrative the officer had built. She knew battles weren't always fought with weapons. Some were fought with patience, dignity, and the undeniable truth. As they left the station together, Kayla felt a new strength blooming inside her. She had always admired her mother, but now that admiration burned brighter. She had witnessed firsthand how resilience and truth could silence ignorance. For the officer, the moment was a harsh lesson, one he would never forget. The sight of the very woman he mocked being honored by his superior would haunt him longer than any reprimand. This story isn't just about one officer's prejudice or one family's strength. It's about the countless times people of color, especially women, are underestimated, doubted, or ridiculed simply because of who they are. It's about the quiet endurance children are forced to carry and the power of truth to eventually rise. And perhaps the most haunting question remains. How many more Kaylas sit silently, enduring mockery, waiting for the world to finally see them for who they are? The next time someone laughs at another's story, another's pride, or another's truth, ask yourself, are you laughing at a lie or at your own ignorance?